Aunt Julia is an autobiographical poem, which makes MacCaig's use of first-person narrative appropriate. Even though Norman MacCaig was brought up in Edinburgh, he was strongly influenced by his Gaelic family and by his experiences in northwest Scotland. The poem is written in free verse, which allows for the conversational tone MacCaig creates. The opening stanza begins in the past tense, which suggests MacCaig's Aunt Julia has passed away. At the beginning of the poem, MacCaig employs very simplistic languages, reflecting both the simple thoughts of a child and the simpler times of Aunt Julia's crofting lifestyle. It reinforces that these are childhood memories MacCaig is revisiting. The use of the words loud and fast, along with the repetition of very, establishes the poet's aunt as a force of nature. It has a warm tone, suggesting his memories of her are pleasant. Lines 3 and 4 in the stanza introduce one of the key ideas of the poem, MacCaig's frustration over his inability to communicate with his aunt. The repeated use of I could not shows that he blames himself for this. Stanza 2 focuses on creating an impression of Aunt Julia's character. The opening line suggests a rough, salt-of-the-earth character, her choice of men's boots, showing that she wasn't concerned about appearing feminine and pretty, but was more interested in how practical her footwear was. The qualifier in the second line continues the idea of a rough and unfeminine character and emphasises her link to the earth. She liked to be physically connected to the land when she talked. The dash at the beginning of the third line introduces a memory. MacCaig switches to present tense to emphasise how clear the memory is. He can still see her doing this in his mind. The word choice of strong suggests that she was capable of the physical work required in her way of life. MacCaig's admiration for her is clear here. Again, word choice is used in stained, which suggests long-term and ingrained. She is constantly working with the land, and it has now become a part of her. The line, paddling with the treadle of the spinning wheel, is noticeably longer than the lines around it, and highlights both the length of the yarn and the long process needed to create it. The use of drew yarn is also effective, as the long vowel sounds mirror the action of wool being stretched. The word paddling also creates a sense of movement and life, two things MacCaig associates with his aunt. This memory is also important in creating the sense of northwest Scotland that MacCaig remembers, as Harris is famous for producing tweed. MacCaig's admiration for his aunt is again clear when he said she drew the yarn marvellously out of the air. This gives the impression of an illusion, a magician's trick, and suggests that MacCaig as a boy was fascinated. Stanza 3 looks at the uniqueness of the experience of staying with his Aunt Julia. The word choice of only in the first line emphasises the special nature of their relationship. When he refers to the absolute darkness of the old-fashioned bed he slept in, it should be a frightening image, particularly for a child. Absolute suggests a complete lack of life, and the dark is often associated with evil, the time of monsters. However, the peaceful image of the personified crickets being friendly shows that he felt comfortable in this environment. His affection for his Aunt Julia is such that she's created a cocoon of safety. It's also a very tranquil image. The landscape is quiet enough for him to lie still and listen to the insects, highlighting the peace and quiet of the rural highlands and islands. In the fourth stanza, MacCaig creates a list of associations. Each memory of her has a sense of movement and activity. In the first association, Aunt Julia becomes both the bucket and the water, giving the sense that she is everywhere, and emphasising her larger-than-life personality. There is transferred epithet in the word flouncing. Her flouncing movement, vigorous and purposeful, has been transferred to the water. In the second association, we can see that Aunt Julia has become intertwined with his memories of Scalpay. He can't think of her without remembering the punishing weather of northwest Scotland. But, further down the stanza, he also associates her with everyday, mundane objects, such as brown eggs. The fact that she is a keeper of 3 penny bits is a nod to the thriftiness of the stereotypical Highlander. The enjambment on the final line creates a sense of humour, showing her eccentricity, and also reflects Aunt Julia's practical nature, using anything that's at hand to do the job. Overall, the stanza reflects that Aunt Julia epitomises the island way of life for MacCaig, crofting in a harsh, unforgiving environment. The final stanza begins with a repeat of the opening lines, but also introduces a more sombre tone. MacCaig is reflecting on the fact that Aunt Julia is gone, along with the opportunity to both get to know her and learn from her. The alliteration of learned a little creates emphasis, and the enjambment introduces a short pause, the time it took him to learn Gaelic. During this time, Aunt Julia has sadly passed away. MacCaig again uses this enjambment to highlight this idea, creating further emphasis on the simple word lay, which shows the stillness of Aunt Julia in death, a contrast to her ebullient personality in life. The word silenced echoes this, as if death has stolen her vivid nature. Absolute black mirrors the earlier phrase absolute darkness, but without the warmth. The black of Aunt Julia's grave is empty and quiet, a void. This creates a stark contrast to MacCaig's memories of her in life. The maudlin and regretful tone in this stanza is the adult MacCaig speaking. The use of the word but creates a change of direction. MacCaig challenges the finality of death by reaffirming that Aunt Julia is alive both in his memories and in the nature and the land that he so associates with her. She welcomes him with a seagull's voice. This metaphor is appropriate, as she and the land are inseparable to MacCaig, but also because he cannot decipher the seagull's cries as he could not understand her words as a child. Additionally, the loud, clear call of the seagull represents Aunt Julia's loud, brash personality. MacCaig's final lines reveal his frustration at his inability to communicate with his aunt. The repetition of getting angry highlights his strength of feeling. The final two lines, with so many questions unanswered, encourages the reader to consider that not only could MacCaig not understand his aunt, but also that the younger generations in Scotland cannot connect with the rural way of life in the Highlands and Islands. MacCaig feels that we're at risk of losing that aspect of our culture, and as with Aunt Julia, soon it will be too late and it will be lost forever. The enjambment on the final line emphasises this idea.